Have you ever finished reading a sweet romance and found yourself thinking about the main characters for days afterwards? Not because there was a huge mystery, and maybe not even because there were shocking twists in the story, but because there was something about the hero and the heroine's journey that just stuck with you. You felt like you knew them, and you celebrated when they finally kissed. You cried when either of them or both of them almost gave up. And when they finally found their happily ever after, it felt deeply satisfying for you as a reader. So the question is, what creates that compelling of a story? Is it the perfect trope? Is it a charming small town? Is it funny dialogue? Those details really do help. But underneath every unforgettable sweet romance book is something that I believe is much deeper. It's an emotional blueprint. And that's what I want to share with you today. In case we haven't met, I'm Lorna Faith, and I write clean adventure fiction, and I also write contemporary sweet romance with my pen name, Melody Archer. I love helping beginning writers by talking about what I've learned about writing fiction, in hopes that something that I've learned will, in some small way, help you to write and self-publish your own sweet romance books. As always, what I share is simply how writing my novels has worked for me. But you might have a different way that works better for you. And if you do, that's wonderful. I encourage you to keep doing what's working. In today's video, I want to share with you the emotional structure that lies beneath nearly every memorable sweet romance. And once you understand it, you'll begin writing stories that don't just entertain your readers, but that stay in readers' hearts even after they've finished reading the last page. Here's what I've learned as I've written sweet romance books. Sweet romance is really about emotional transformation. When I first started writing, I believed that I was simply writing a love story. And it's true, I was. But I was also writing something else. I was writing a story about healing the hero and healing the heroine. As I thought about my favorite sweet romance books, I realized the hero and the heroine didn't simply fall in love. They became different people because of love. And it was love that taught them how to trust again, to forgive again, to hope again, and to believe that they were worthy of being loved. And I really believe that's why sweet romance readers keep turning the pages of the books that you write. And today I'm excited to share with you how you can plot an unforgettable sweet romance book that keeps readers turning the pages. And if you'd like a simple step-by-step path to plot your very first sweet romance so that you can write emotionally compelling stories that keep readers turning the pages, you can join me and other writers inside my mini course, Write With Me, Write Your First Sweet Romance. You can learn more at the link below this video. Now let's talk about the blueprint that begins with an invisible wound. Every unforgettable romance begins with emotional pain. Something happened before page 1, and that's with the hero and the heroine. There was something that shaped how your character sees the world. Let's go back to Jack and Emily's story example. For Emily, when she was a child, her dad abandoned her, so her wound is abandonment. She learned that people that she depends on eventually leave. For Jack, it's guilt. He believes that caring about someone puts them in danger. Those wounds create false beliefs. Emily believes, I have to protect myself from being abandoned again. And Jack believes that the safest way to love someone is to not to let them get too close again. Those beliefs become invisible walls around your hero and your heroine. But your story isn't really about tearing down those walls. It's about helping your main characters to choose to open the gate. Love really does introduce the possibility of change between your characters. Someone unexpected enters their life. Not someone perfect, but someone who quietly challenges those false beliefs that your hero or your heroine believes. Emily doesn't lecture Jack about trusting people. She just consistently shows up in his life. And Jack doesn't tell Emily that she's safe, but he proves it through his actions. He tries to keep her safe. And this is why readers love slow burn romance. Every small interaction becomes something meaningful. Every shared conversation, every act of kindness, every moment of vulnerability. Love isn't declared, love is demonstrated by each of the characters' actions. Plot events are really heart tests of your characters. And here's where many writers who are just starting out struggle, and I did too. They think that plot exists to create excitement for your readers, but emotional plot exists to test the hearts of your hero and your heroine. I encourage you to ask yourself this question: what situation in my story would force my character to confront their deepest fear? Imagine Jack and Emily in their story. Perhaps a hurricane threatens Angel's Cove, the seaside town where they live. The external conflict is obvious. There's a hurricane. But the emotional conflict is even bigger. Jack wants to protect everyone, and he wants to do it all by himself. Emily offers to help. If Jack accepts her help, then he's admitting he can't carry the burden all by himself. And for Jack, that's terrifying. The storm isn't really what the real conflict is. It's Jack's heart. Every major plot event should ask your character one question: will you continue believing your fears, or will you risk believing something new? Which brings us to the next point. The sweet romance grows one decision at a time. Readers often think that characters suddenly fall in love, but that's rarely what happens. Instead, your characters make dozens of tiny emotional decisions. Jack chooses to stay for coffee instead of leaving. Emily chooses to tell Jack about her childhood. Jack asks for help, and Emily accepts his help. One decision doesn't change everything, but as they continue to be in each other's company, they slowly reshape each other's hearts. And this is why small scenes matter so much. A quiet conversation on the dock can be more emotionally powerful than an action scene, because the hearts of your main characters are changing. Now let's move to the next point. The happiest endings in a sweet romance are earned. By the end of your story, the external problem has been solved, but more importantly, the internal problem has been transformed. Jack no longer believes that loving someone only brings pain, and Emily no longer believes that everyone leaves. Their happily ever after isn't satisfying because they can finally kiss, but it's really satisfying because they become two people who are capable of receiving love. And that's really the emotional payoff that readers have been waiting for since chapter 1. So now let's talk about the emotional blueprint checklist. Whenever you're planning your sweet romance, ask yourself these questions, and I think it'll really help you. Number 1, what wound shaped my character? Number 2, what false belief are they carrying? Number 3, which plot event challenges that belief? Number 4, what small decisions help them to grow? And number 5, what truth have they embraced by the time they reach the ending of the story? If you can answer those 5 questions, I really believe that you are building an emotional blueprint instead of simply writing scenes. Here's the beautiful thing about sweet romance. Readers don't finish your story hoping that the characters simply found each other. They hope that your characters found themselves. They hope that fear became trust, and that loneliness became belonging, and that guilt became forgiveness, that self-protection became vulnerability, because that's really the emotional blueprint behind every unforgettable sweet romance. And when you build your stories on that foundation, readers won't just remember your plot, they'll remember how your story made them feel. And that's really very important. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's the false belief that your hero or heroine must overcome before they can truly experience love? I'd love to read your answers to that question. And if you want to learn more about the 5 emotional beats that every sweet romance needs, you can watch that video next. I'll see you there.